Welcome. SwamiLee's Sports Cars and Collectibles presents SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mike. I'm Ed.
And we're here with something new and different. We brought the coolest guy that I know to join us today.
This is true.
It is true. And we're going to go over just one topic today, our new format, a shorter show than usual. And we're going to discuss the biggest news in Philadelphia today. What is the biggest news in Philadelphia?
Well, as much as one might like to say it's Joel Embiid's recent back tightness, it is, of course, Carson Wentz's torn ACL.
Any other thoughts, Ed? Or
oh man, it was just a sad day. It was no joy in Mudville that day. So, but we gotta believe.
Well, Mrs. Swami almost kicked me out of the house because she was so depressed she didn't even want to talk to me that day. It reminded me of the 1993 World Series. I was at the 15-14 game.
Okay.
With a certain individual.
Okay.
And we did not speak to each other. God's honest truth. From the end of the game until we arrived home, because we were so shell-shocked by that game. God's honest truth. We did not speak to each other the entire trip.
Wow.
Think about the mouth being shut for that entire time.
It's
pretty impressive.
That is very impressive.
So
that is very impressive.
First thing, let's talk about this. Go right into the topic.
Okay.
Forget all the other stuff we always talk about. Let's get right into the topic.
All right.
Let's start with this topic. Colin Kaepernick as the new quarterback of the Eagles. Ed?
Purely based on skill?
Purely based on skill.
No.
Mike?
Clearly not, for several reasons, not the least of which is he won't have time to learn the system. Second, his ability to master complex systems was shown to be suspect in San Francisco. Third, who knows if he's in football shape, and even if they signed him today, he probably would not be in game shape anytime soon, and if, God forbid, Nick Foles gets hurt, they need a competent backup who's in game shape immediately.
But what about the fro? Is that not worth anything to you guys? He's got the coolest fro I have seen since Oscar Gamble.
You know what?
Is there no value in that?
Here's what we'll do, okay? I will not get my hair cut for 3 months. I'll put my finger in a light socket, and I'll have a fro for free.
I'm going to hold him to that one.
For free with no controversy.
You can glue a fro on my head because I've got no hair. So.
I've seen
and that's fine.
different wigs on your head, and they work. So,
yeah.
But I really think that's a topic for another show.
Ed's hair is not an important topic.
No, Ed's different wigs.
Oh, actually,
definitely.
He makes a point there.
Definitely.
But in summary, you don't bring in a guy who does not know the system on week 15 on a team that is going to the playoffs.
Now, if this was week 3, I could say if this was even in the preseason, I definitely would entertain the fact of bringing him in because I've always been a Colin Kaepernick fan. Aside from all the political things that have been going on, as a player, I liked him. I think his legs, especially with this crappy offensive line that we have right now, that's been suspect the past 4 weeks. Losing Wisniewski in the last game and having Sayamalu in there and having Warmack in there, it was just an absolute train wreck. It was an absolute train wreck. I'm surprised that Carson didn't get hurt 3-4 weeks ago. That he got hurt now. Ouch. So I'm just being, and you know me, I'm a crazy Eagles fan, and I just saw it just deteriorating week after week. The offensive line just got worse and worse and worse. And it was only a matter of time. And it was proven during the Seattle game. They were just blown off the line almost at every single play. And it was just a matter of time before they just totally imploded. And all it had to do was Wisniewski get hurt, and then you saw that whole left side of the line was absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous.
Okay, next topic. Tony Romo. Ed?
No.
Anything else to say or just no?
It'll be a cold day in hell before I let a Dallas Cowboy on my team like that.
Fair enough. Mike?
Well, I have to give Tony Romo credit because he certainly seems to have the makings of a real good color guy on NFL Network. And I think he should just stick with that gig because, the fact is, skills aside, he is more so than any potential replacement, one hit away from being on the scrap heap again. And we don't need that.
Well, I have something to say about Tony Romo. Eagles fans who are, by the way, clamoring for Tony Romo, as I'm sure you've been reading.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the same fans that have been screaming for how many years how he can't win the big game. So hang on. So you're going to bring this guy in with he's never used this system before, if I'm correct.
Correct.
So he has no knowledge of the system. So maybe he backs up Foles for a week or two, and he starts week 17, or worse, starts in the playoffs. Who can't win the big game when he knows the system, when he has a team he's been playing with for years and years and years. And you're going to have this guy, and you want him to be your starting quarterback? What drugs are these people taking?
Well, I don't know which you're referring to, because Ed and I both gave you resounding no's.
And
we're Eagles fans.
I was talking about the fan base that I've been reading comments nonstop on Facebook and on other message boards saying, bring in Romo, bring in Romo, bring in Romo.
Well, those are the same people who wouldn't trade Scott Kingery for a child.
That's another show. That is an entire another show. Don't even go there.
So, just like the 48.4% who voted for Roy Moore, there's going to be a percentage of the fan base in this town who doesn't have a clue. And it's that simple.
And we've discovered them. So,
We absolutely discovered them. So
next.
on the drive in, there's people saying, call Brett Favre.
no, they didn't.
On the drive-in, on the sports radio, on the drive-in, people said there were 4 calls in a row. Why not give a call to Brett Favre? He knows the system. He's friends with Doug. He would do that in a heartbeat. And then there was another call that said, how about we give Jeff Garcia a shot?
Actually, that was the next thing I was going to bring up.
There you go. Nice segue.
Now, Jeff Garcia obviously would not be brought in to be a starter. He would be brought in to be the backup. Heaven forbid Foles gets hurt, because he does know the system.
Right.
He's also 47 years old, and if it smells like a rat, it's oftentimes a rat.
Correct.
So I guess the question is, in a million years, as only the backup, not as a starter, would you bring in Jeff Garcia?
No.
Because he's 47 years old.
He hasn't played the game in, 5, 6
I think
years?
it's 8. Might be 8 years.
In that extent, he's in great shape for 47 years old. Hell, I'm 43, and I wish I could be half the shape that he's in, and all that. But still, he's 47 years old. He's been away from the game for 8 years, that you said.
Quite a while.
8 years he's been away from the game. It's too fast, and the game evolves from year after year. So 8 years ago, the game was fast. It's even faster now. There's bigger players, younger players. There's, if you brought him in as a coach, as a quarterback's coach or something like that, quality control, cool, but not as a player. I mean, I feel like the way the Eagles are built right now, the way everything is right now, we're going to ride or die with Foles, and whoever else is back up after that. They're probably, I hate to say it, but I see McGlowan coming back.
Oh.
I see him coming back.
Well, we're going to hold off other quarterbacks for the next segment. Mike?
Well, let's talk about Jeff Garcia. He was certainly a smart quarterback in his younger days. He runs a football camp, so age aside, he's probably closer to game shape than Kaepernick, and he's definitely closer to game shape than Tony Romo. Back in his younger days, he was more mobile than not, and the fact is that we're past the trade deadline in the NFL, so trading's not an option, and he is a free agent option who has had some postseason success. So all things considered, I think you got to consider Jeff Garcia, because I, for one, will not live or die with Nate Sudfeld if Nick Foles goes down.
But again, we're going to cover other quarterbacks in the next segment.
Now, if you brought Garcia in, would you bring him in as your automatic 2 or 3 behind Sudfeld?
Here's what I would do. I would bring him in as at the 3, at least for now, and if Nick goes down, let Nate finish the game. But after that, if Jeff shows he could do it, Jeff's the starter.
Okay. Now, if you're talking about week 16 or week 17, you may give Sudfeld a chance. Can you imagine you get the bye and you're the number 1 seed and you're playing up against the number 6 plays 3. So you're playing the number 3 seed? No, you're playing the number 4 seed. Right. So you're playing the number 4 seed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine sticking Nate Sudfeld out there against the number 4 seed in the playoffs? No, you can't.
I can't imagine sticking Nate Sudfeld out there,
right.
period.
The point is you'd have to go Jeff Garcia.
Yes.
Now, if it was in week 16, you're up 23-14 at the half, you let Sudfeld manage the game, hey, he could surprise you. Kurt Warner was packing groceries, and the next thing you know, he was throwing for 350 yards in the game. Anything could happen, but that being said, the likelihood of Nate Sudfeld coming through, minimal. The point is, I'll leave you this thought before we go to break. I love when the old guy comes back. You remember when Vinny came back to the Jets when he was like 45?
Yeah.
I loved that, okay? That was so cool when Vinny came back. I'd love to see the 47-year-old guy back. And I'm obviously not an Eagles fan, so I really don't care if they win or lose. But that being said, being the owner of a sports collectible store in the Philadelphia area, it puts money in my pocket when the Eagles win, so I'm an Eagles fan. The Wentz injury hopefully will not hurt my Carson Wentz business, but it could. So the point of the story is, if I want my team to win, I'm going to Garcia right now over Sudfeld, no matter what happens. So let's go to break, and we'll come back. We're going to discuss some other options, perhaps.
Hello, I'm Dickie Knowles, 1980 Philadelphia Phillies pitcher. That was the year we won the World Series, our very first in our history. And when I'm in South Jersey, I love stopping at SwamiLee's for the best card selection in the Delaware Valley area.
And we're back here at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles, SwamiLee's Sports Talk. I'm Swami Lee.
I am Mellow Mike.
And?
I am Chill Ed.
Now I feel really dumb just being Swami Lee. Back when I was in the hood, they called me Cool Mo Lee, so now I fit in well, right?
You and Vanilla Ice.
Remember, I was from Compton.
You were from Compton.
That was when you had the mullet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Actually, I had the fro back in those days. Don't
The
forget
Jufro.
the fros. The Jufro, exactly. So anyway, let's get right back in. We were discussing the injury to Carson Wentz and who might replace Carson Wentz, including Tony Romo, Jeff Garcia, and a host of others, including Brett Favre. That was
Brett
a good
Favre
one. I
was
like that
one.
But let's get right into the next name. During the break, Ed told me another name that he had heard people talking about. So let's get right into him. And that name was?
Number 5, Donovan McNabb.
Donovan McNabb. First of all, he's been out how many years? Let's just 5, right? 6, right?
6, because he's been eligible for Hall of Fame is after 5. So he was eligible last year. So it's
I
6
think
years.
Either 10 or 11 was his last season.
11.
So he was out for 6 years. He was done 3 years before he...
Oh, yeah.
At least. He never played well for any other team. But really, I don't think Donovan McNabb has enough time to be an NFL quarterback right now.
No, he's busy at the buffet.
No, but maybe, but that's not it either.
At the bar?
No, I think he's a little too busy sexually harassing girls at the network. Have you heard about that one?
Heard about it. I was like, oh, it's about time. I was not surprised at one bit. I've had a little interaction with him many years ago with an ex-girlfriend of mine.
Oh, I thought he was sexually harassing you.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
No.
I mean, Ed, I can understand if he did.
Mr. McNabb and Luther Broughton.
Wow.
They were buddies, and my girlfriend at the time was working at a restaurant, and they would come in. They would frequent very often, and he would consistently ask my girlfriend out. And she says, I would come in, and I would talk to him. I would see him. And I would and I'm like, yo. And I remember one night I said, yo, 5. It's my girl. Calm down. And we're just joking around, and that was it. Come to work at a different restaurant myself, and he's hitting on the bartenders and the waitresses there.
Isn't he married?
Oh yeah.
Oh, just checking.
Oh yeah.
Now, just to be clear, were all of the bartenders women?
Yes, they were all
Not
women.
that there's anything wrong with it.
No, not at all. But they were all women.
So
very beautiful women. And he just and he ordered the same thing all the time. I still remember what he ordered. He ordered buffalo chicken sandwich, extra ranch dressing on the side, and extra seasoned fries. I still remember.
What was he drinking?
That I don't know if he was drinking, but I always knew what the food he ordered when it came in.
Was he a good tipper?
From what I heard, yes.
So he's no LaShawn McCoy, is what you're trying to say?
No, he didn't give a couple coins. I tell you who wasn't a good tipper was Bobby Taylor. That dude.
I got one for you. Jerry Stackhouse. He was a horrible tipper. Denny's, 3 o'clock in the morning. His crew came in. This is 1996, I think it was. They took up the table. They were nasty. They were rude. $56 check, give or take $1 or $2. $2 tip. $2 tip.
How do you think he stays a millionaire? He's got to keep his money.
Well, you know who's a hell of a nice guy? David Akers. And let me preface this by saying, I never met the man, but Mrs. Mellow Mike, Marilyn, did meet him, met his family, and they were great people.
But did he tip?
I don't know.
I tell you who tipped well and who I waited on and was super nice, Doug Peterson. When he was signed as a quarterback.
Yeah, but
Andy Reid's first season.
But I tried to sell him a car a few years back, and he didn't buy the car nor return my phone calls. So I'm not on Team Peterson, just to be clear.
Well, as a tipper in a restaurant, he was very nice. He was there with his family, and we talked for about 10 minutes, and I was like, I don't want to bother you. And he was like, no, it's fine, and that was it. Andy Reid was not nice, but he was nice.
Well, Andy Reid just probably wanted to eat.
And that's what he said. Yeah.
Does it surprise you? I mean, you're sitting there, you're talking, trying to, be cool and talk football. He's like, dude, I haven't eaten for 30 minutes. Come on, hook me up.
All right, so back to the quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, we were
Back
talking
to the
about that, weren't we?
Back to the quarterbacks.
Yes.
Now, again, Favre, Manning, Romo,
let's
Jamarcus
finish
Russell,
McNabb.
I heard. Jamarcus Russell. McNabb, no. It's not. He knows the system, but it's just at this point now, like Lee said, he was past his prime 3 years prior before he retired. You could just tell the decline in his play was just atrocious. And I really feel like he just lost the desire to play. I really just think he just stopped caring. And when they shipped him out of Philly to Washington, I was shocked. It was Easter Sunday, I believe. It was Easter Sunday when the news came out that they traded him. And I had always been a McNabb fan as a player. I had always been a fan, even though people critiqued him and they say he threw gopher balls, and he
Threw up in the huddle.
all that. Even with all that stuff, I still was a
Couldn't
fan
do a
of his.
2-minute drill.
I still was a fan of his. But the last few years with the Eagles, I wanted him off the team. Like, I wanted to see somebody else because I was tired of seeing this with him and Reed together. I was tired of seeing the same
Kevin
thing.
Cobb.
There was something, we needed something else. He goes to Washington, and he was horrid in Washington. I have friends that are Washington Redskins fans, and they were like, I can't believe we got this guy. And
He was done.
He was done. And I really think it's just, you could see in his eyes, it's just there was no desire to play. I think after the playoff game, the playoff loss to the Cowboys, where he's playing the air guitar and everything coming out of the tunnel, I think after that loss, I think that was it for him.
Well, hang on. He was probably playing air guitar because guitars get chicks.
I guess.
And so he couldn't get to the bar that day, so he figured he'd play guitar and get some of the chicks in the stands.
I
I'm
guess.
just thinking.
What he didn't realize is no guitar and no chicks.
Oh, sounds like high school all over again. Not for you, Ed, of course, but for us. Anyway, Mike, any parting thoughts on Mr. McNabb?
Well, say what you will about Andy Reid, but one thing he normally got right was moving out the veterans when they were done, and history shows us that he gave up on McNabb at the right time. McNabb was done in 2009. He's certainly no better now. We've seen him, and if he's in game shape, then we're in game shape.
Ooh, I pity the poor guy.
And I've got many great memories of McNabb. I don't know how many other guys would have thrown 4 touchdowns on a broken ankle, but you know what? He's not that player anymore. He's not the man for this job. And just remember, number 5 may not always love you, but it's not for lack of trying.
This is true. Now, quick question before we go on to something else.
We're running out of time, so.
Quick question. McNabb, Hall of Famer or not?
No.
No. He was Hall of Very Good that we talk about all the time.
Right, the Hall of Very Good.
He was the next level down. He's not a Hall of Famer. He is the Kurt Schilling of football.
Like the Craig Biggio.
No, Craig Biggio is a Hall of Famer.
Now, what if he had
By
made
vote
it,
only.
What if he, with all the NFC Championship games, the 4 that we lost, what if he had made it to 2 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls and still lost, didn't win? Would he be a Hall of Famer?
Ooh, that's a tough one and a good question.
Because I'm using Warren Moon and I'm using Jim Kelly as
Donovan McNabb was no Jim Kelly.
No,
and he was no Warren Moon.
Okay? No, I loved Warren Moon.
And again, but he was the next guy. I mean, Kelly and Moon are here. McNabb is here. That is nothing to be. Don't be ashamed of that. I mean, you're better than 27 of the other 29 quarterbacks that you were playing against, or whatever it might be. Nothing against that. But no, he's not a Hall of Famer. And if he had won 2 Super Bowls, I would have probably let him in for that reason.
Well, Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. Is he a Hall of Fame quarterback?
Yes, he is.
Really?
Eli Manning's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I don't see it.
You mark my words.
He'll make it. He'll make it in. He'll make it in.
No question about it.
I
know the deer in the headlights look. I know, but he also didn't miss a game in 13 years.
Well, he missed the game a couple weeks ago.
Topic for another day. Real quick, because we are running out of time.
Yeah.
Ed is going to read off a couple names that he has heard, and we're simply going to say yes or no when he reads either the name.
Cool.
Ed?
All right. Jamarcus Russell. These are, and I will preface this by saying these are all names that I've heard within the past 3 or 4 days, including the drive here.
Just move on.
All right, Michael Vick.
No.
Interesting.
But you got to say yes or no. Maybe doesn't work.
Well, okay. If Jeff Garcia is a no, then I would give Michael Vick a good look.
Okay.
RG3.
Well, he wouldn't fit the system. If this had happened in training camp, I'd give him a shot. Nothing to lose. I don't think he can help the team this year. I mean, all you're doing is putting a guy on the roster. Then why not? You can't get hurt.
I think he'd still be an improvement over Nate Sudfeld. So.
I'd be an improvement over Nate Sudfeld. Nothing personally.
Tim Tebow.
Next.
No, I'd rather have Tim Tebow than Sudfeld, than Romo, than Kaepernick.
I'd rather have a punch in the gut than have my left arm cut off or my eye gouged out. Ed?
Okay. Brett Favre.
Yeah, anyway, Ed? Yeah, now we're just getting ridiculous now.
Peyton Manning.
Johnny Unitas. I mean...
Peyton Manning was one.
Peyton Manning.
I have a thing against quarterbacks who are overrated in their primes, and he's nowhere near his prime. He was done in 2015, and all the things that made him a terrible quarterback in 2015 and a playoff loser who was carried to Super Bowls by defense and running games will come back to bite him if we take him. So that's a huge no. That is a Jamarcus Russell kind of no.
Oh, tell me how you really feel.
So what about that? What about that Johnny Unitas thing? What about him?
Johnny Unitas, who could bring him out from... Look, they were talking about... They were like, hell, if Joe Montana was in game shape, Dan Marino's name got thrown around. I'm sitting here listening to this, and I go, I don't understand that I associate with these people as brethren, as Eagles fans. Like, we're all Eagles fans, and I don't understand.
In defense of Dan Marino, if you look at Dan Marino from a distance, he looks like he's 35 years old. Now, I haven't seen him up close, where he probably looks like he's 80.
He's a vampire.
But when you look at Dan Marino, like on TV, he looks like he could play tomorrow, and you'd think he was in his prime.
You mean on those like Hydroxycut commercials or something?
Whatever it might be, like I said before, I'm sure if he was standing next to me right now. But anyway, we're starting running out of time here. Mike, final thoughts?
Yes. The Eagles need a playoff-ready backup, period. And it looks like the best options out there are going to be Jeff Garcia or Michael Vick. It's got to be one of them. So, Howie, Jeff, get to work, get it done.
Ed?
Well, I will say this. If they go with Garcia or Vick, if that's the final two, let's say they go with one of them, I feel comforted in knowing we have 3 very good running backs that we don't have to rest the game on the shoulders of our quarterbacks.
And I'll leave you with this thought, folks. I personally believe Nick Foles in the weakened NFC this year could potentially bring this team to the Super Bowl, only to get them crushed by the Steelers, but that's another story. If the Eagles need Garcia or Vick or Jamarcus Russell or Johnny Unitas or Joe Montana or Burt Jones or Earl Morrall,
Wyatt Tittle, like whoever.
They're not winning the Super Bowl anyway, so it doesn't matter. If they throw one important pass in the game, any of those guys, Roman Gabriel, Joe Cap, they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're not going to, win the Super Bowl. Period. The end.
Well, I remember reading about a guy named Earl Morrall who did something like that.
So he's comparing Earl Morrall to a 47-year-old Jeff Garcia.
The point is that...
Or a dead Johnny Unitas.
No. The point is that, we're not going to give up, and we're going to find the best backup to Foles possible so that they will have a chance to win.
Is Randall Cunningham available?
No.
He's back scrambling, though.
No, he's not bad. Buddy's watching him. But
just let him be him, okay?
Hey, he is what he is. Anyway, folks, thank you for watching. I'm Swami Lee.
Now, before we say our goodbyes, don't we want to talk to our viewers about what's on the table or not on the table?
I didn't feel it was overly important. But Mike, you obviously want to share something with us, so please share something with us today.
Well, the keen observer might note that where Ed has Carson Wentz and where Lee has something, is it from Oakland?
This is the
Vegas?
Oakland Invaders.
I have nothing.
Go Invaders.
I don't have anything here, and the reason is that our new savior is Nick Foles. And I looked high and low, and I didn't see a Nick Foles figurine. I didn't see a Nick Foles jersey, helmet, or anything. So if there's no Nick Foles in the shop, there's no Nick Foles here.
I actually sold the last one last week, just in case you're wondering.
I was.
Anyway.
Funny, I was looking for Nick Foles as well.
Yes, I
'Cause
sold.
I knew there was one here.
I did. I sold it just recently, before the injury, actually.
You snooze, you
Go
lose.
figure that one. Anyway, we'll catch you next time here at SwamiLee's Sports Talk at SwamiLee's Sports Cards and Collectibles. I'm Swami Lee.
I'm Mellow Mike.
I'm Chill Ed.
I guess I'm Cool Mo Lee. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play.